Hello everyone, and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 264. Today is Saturday, February 16th, 2019, and I'm glad you could join me today. It is much colder than what it was yesterday, and I have some free time, so here we are. I'm trying to bring the camera a little bit closer. We'll figure out whether or not that makes a lot of sense, but no. What do you guys think? I'm going to be just curious. So, there is all sorts of chaos around me because I have been stuck on a knitting repeat. So I started labeling these by letter. This, my friends, is Tensfield Echo, which is the 6th time that I have knit this pattern. And I can't seem to stop. I finished Tensfield Delta last night at midnight and then immediately cast on yet another. There's still like plenty of yarn that I can use. Plenty of things where, what would it be? All of this yarn was actually yarn I did not purchase. So, I guess it makes sense. Use it up. Go from there. So, I am knitting this one out of a DK. It's Cascade Cherub. It is a 55% acrylic, 45% nylon blend. I am knitting, what I'm knitting right now are 2 colors held doubled. So this is like a Regia, that's effectively speaking a thread plied single. And then Cascade Pima Cotton in sort of a olivey green. So I was amused last night because I'm like, I'm knitting Slytherin. And it was interesting because I was holding these yarns as well for Tensfield D, and it didn't have that same effect. I think because I was using more purples. So maybe at some point I'll run out of valid color combinations to knit Tensfields out of, but it's been soothing to me to be like sort of like rifling through the bottom of my stash, which is like weirdo, worsted, chunky scraps, for lack of a better word, and then I get to combine them together into these like really cool graphic looking hats that then I will end up donating to the Scarlett Bennett Center. So right now Amy Florence and someone else who I don't know are doing the Warm Heads, Warm Hearts cowl. So all of these hats are going towards that cowl, they're going to the SSK cowl. It's going to be a nightmare to estimate yardage because it's pretty random right now. I have memorized the pattern. This is Tensfield by Martina Bem. And I'm having a lot of fun knitting them. It's very nice to be, there's just something really soothing about it to me right now. It sort of gives me a chance to have fun with like marling, to have fun with combining different colors together, eyeballing what I have in my stash and figuring out what goes together. So this one here will take longer than the others. I ended up switching out my needles so that oh, what would it be? I ended up switching out my needles so I could knit with the finer yarn, because this is more of a DK weight hat right now. My other ones are more chunky. I knit those on a 7, and what I really need to do was knit it on a 4, but my 4 was in my breathing space. So the breathing space is now in a state of awkwardness that will not be resolved for at least a little bit. One thing that I can do, let's see, yeah. One thing that I probably will end up doing is I need to get I need to switch the needle on this one so that I can use my interchangeables, because I need a little bit smaller diameter needle in order to properly knit this. So last week I took some pictures and did some thinking, and also showed it at knit night, and the consensus was I needed more green. And then earlier this week I had written a message and then closed it, because I really didn't want to, but that's what it's gonna have to happen. So at knit night I decided that I would begin the sleeves, and so I have what I have remaining split in half, so there's about 15 grams of the green of each. Where I left off is green as well, so it makes sense that, at least for this interface, I do it that way. And then there's no yarn attached to my sweater right now. So I have my Yuletide and Noel combo spin, and then I have my 2 little balls of mistletoe. So I have asked Jen for more. Hopefully that's possible, because this sweater's been an epic. And I don't know whether or not, I probably just needed to get more when the time came, but I think I had swapped them, or I hadn't spun the green thin enough, so I only had about 700 yards of green, and I had about 1100 yards of the Noel. So it was much more of a light fingering for the variegated color. But it is pretty, it's gorgeous, but it really does need those big color blocks, and it just wasn't going to work out otherwise. So right now it's not quite covering as much as I would like. So there's that. So I will be knitting the sleeves once I figure out the appropriate needle to knit them with. And I will get as far as I can get. Yeah, you can see I have my little cable ends on this guy. So I don't know. I think I'll just end up having them be bigger stripes, because I think that'll look fine. I did break the yarn because it is close to the point where I would have started the solid color block, but that doesn't change the fact that I didn't have enough yarn for even a short sleeve and a solid color block. As you do. So, I'm gonna have to wait for fiber to arrive and then spin the fiber, and then I will be able to properly finish. But you might be seeing it next week if I summon the motivation to work on however far I get on the sleeves. It's pretty possible that I will end up I don't know. We'll see how it works out and whether or not I even feel like working on it. I guess I'm just so close, got so far on it. It was perfect conference knitting, so can't complain about that. All right, I'm gonna grab some things, and then That's really weird. Okay. So I've pulled out the woolen stainless, and here we go. Stay awake, computer. And I'm also going to pull out like some of the oldest yarn in my stash. So I think I'm going to do a mashup because my original plan was silly and wasn't going to actually work. I needed way more of that wool stainless than if I was to implement the original plan. So I could probably use some of these interesting small lace bits in this too. My Tensfield addiction, I just keep looking at all of my small balls and be like, whatever. Like, especially the Zauber lace ball, or maybe these two together is like I'm like, all I'm seeing are color combinations for more more Tensfields. I feel like I'm very strongly channeling Megan of the Stockinette Zombies. I'm like, I'm just knitting it until I feel like it's over. So, here's the dealio. I have this wool stainless steel, which is 70% wool, 25% stainless steel. And I have about, whatever, it's a little bit shy of 550 yards. And then this is about 450, 464 of the Silken Kid. So this is some of the oldest yarn in my stash, especially now that most of the acrylic is gone. This was something that I ended up getting in a Woolmize for All Seasons swap, and it is gorgeous. And then somewhere around here is I printed off a copy of the pattern I wanted to knit this with, which is called Lunamoth. The pattern rights have reverted to the designer, so now it's more like a $6.50 shawl, but I'm pretty sure I have the free one. Or you got a free pattern when you bought Elan yarn. So, I don't think they're in business anymore. But this is a 70% kid mohair, 30% silk blend. And I think it's gonna make a really interesting thing. So, had I guess been thinking I would need twice as much of this. They say it is a product of Japan, so I believe that this is the same stuff as the Hapu. So I'm going to be holding them doubled, and that's going to end up providing sort of a somewhat structural but still interesting shawl. Which isn't my hand spun, but these are probably some of the most unique yarns in my stash. I do have more of mohair silk, but that's going to be for my crazy wackadoodle super luxurious boxy. But I love boxy. Like, I don't even care that the knitting's sort of boring. I just love it. It fits so well in my life right now, so it'd be like, but wait a second, Molly, why are you starting this, like, crazy lace shawl? So I think that that's gonna be my entry for the Knit the Precious Cow. I do have a skein of hand spun that was a better yardage match for how much of this stuff I had. But I really do think it's time to use the mohair silk. what would it be? It's sort of the case where right now, I think that's where that's where I am right now, is that I'm looking at the edges of my stash and being like, okay, it's time now. It is your time. So that's sort of where I am right now, is especially for things where I just don't know, like, I've had a plan for this all along, and now I'm finally implementing the plan, so that's not too crazy. Let's see if I can't pull it up. This was while I was on Ravelry. It may take a moment to get there. So, technically speaking, this is probably my oldest shawl kit. So, not too crazy. Oh, the yarn that I was knitting the Tensfield was the Regia hand-dye effect. I have 234 yards remaining. Alright. Okay. So, these Silken Kid Skates are the oldest whole balls in my stash. Yeah. The next thing that is not a whole ball is some Madtosh vintage. So this is the bottom. I've been holding on to it for a very long time. So 464 yards. I have had this yarn since September 18th, 2011. So it's been 7.5 years, you know what? It's probably time. So my next oldest whole skein of yarn is from October 2011, so whatever. And then there's probably some holes of missing yarn in my stash that, whatever. Such is life. I will turn them into Tensfield hat, I guess. So, because there was yarn that I got on a yarn swap that never made it into the stash. And now they shall be Tensfield hats. So that's where my mind is right now, is I would like to use that one. And I think it's going to be a really interesting pattern. I'm looking forward to the combination because I'm enjoying marling like mad fool. So I think that's why I was thinking that the combination of the two. And then I was a little bit sad because I did want to use this for my cherry blossom, and I just have totally the wrong amount. So this will be fun. I am not planning on winding it, so we'll see how that comes together. I'm not sure how I'm going to end up incorporating the, I'm not sure about the right way to work with the wool and stainless steel, so I guess I'll find out. Won't be too crazy. Okay, so have that. What else? I have been doing a decent amount of fiber prep. I didn't end up starting any new spinning projects this week. I don't know. I was thinking about touching my wheel this morning, and then I ended up combing a ball, so yeah. So, the first thing is that I finished pulling my top from the Hackle. So this is my Corriedale Cross BFL Cross Shetland. I'm not sure whether or not the colors, I don't know. I try. So this is half of it, and let me grab the other half. So this is the other half. So I have like a maroon, a light purple, and a teal in the fiber. But it's coming off less purple on the camera for some reason, because I guess this purple is just uncapturable. And what I ended up doing was, that's not terrible. That's giving a decent impression of what's going on. So what I ended up doing was each layer was a ball of top, and I split my top into actually quarters, and then I put a quarter on the Hackle, layered it like this, and then I ended up adding another quarter to the Hackle just on top of it, and that made my two woolly pelts. So these are going to be spun into some sort of second skein. I don't remember how much waste I ended up having, but this is stuff that's like about ½ an inch long. So this is effectively my Hackle waist, as you do. So, and then I have another Hackle waist up there. So now I have 2/3 of my fleece ready to spin. Yay. I still have another third to get through the rest of the process, and I'm really hoping to get through it all before I need to pack up house. But I can't predict when that's going to happen, so meh. But I have a lot of combing to do, so I may fail. I left the fiber downstairs, but I will show you the 2 balls of top that I've made already. This is a very dark turquoise. So I'm definitely, so this was dyed mostly with black. It was originally fairly white or very, very light gray fleece. And there are shades of like, there's like some hints of like purpliness to this as well, because the black totally broke like a bandit. So the purpliness is not coming up on the camera. It never does. So you will never know the true color of the sweater until you see me in person. But that's fine. This section has actually been like a joy to comb. It was a little bit crusty. I probably didn't rinse the citric acid out of it very well, but it's been working up pretty nicely. So I still have quite a lot to comb, but whatever. Such is life. But that's my sort of spinning task right now, is to get through that. It seems like a pretty sizable amount of it is that color, which is unfortunate, but because I really liked how my blue ones turned out. But that's what I get for dividing the fiber while it's sopping wet and not with scales, and so it's just gonna be what it's gonna be. Alright, and then this is what's gonna go on the wheel next. Bobbins in, I just didn't quite feel like starting, so this is the Corriedale that I dyed at yarn school that I should be good to go. I showed you my finished bobbins so far this week. The goal would be to finish this project by April, which is 2 ounces a month, which isn't that crazy, so whatever. probably should start in February. Because it'll probably be quite a lot of spinning for the fleece project. So it's a little spinning light this week. Now what I forgot was to talk about my finished objects. We're just a little bit out of order today. I got them all. So, one of these is like way bigger than the other ones. That was totally my mistake. So I've already showed you the first two tens fields, which have slightly different patterns on them. But both made out of the same yarn, which is like a Cascade Chunky Alpaca, which is an alpaca merino blend, and Lions Brand Homespun. And a purple color, you know I couldn't resist. Or a purpley blue color that, whatever. This was probably some of the, I don't know, unless it was my sister's, I don't know. And then I have another one, and this is the one that I showed you guys last week that was a work in progress, which has this Japanese yarn. The tag isn't becoming obvious to me. I have another ball of it. And Lions Brand Homespun in a corally color. And you can see how very textural it is. I'm not quite sure that I really like the color combo here, but all of the coral color is gone. The whole 50-gram ball of the Japanese yarn that I got in a yarn swap from my local yarn store in Indiana way back is now all used up. So I do like the graphic stripes pattern. I think that looks really cool. But in order to create the graphic stripe pattern, like, it ended up resulting in a much bigger hat. So this one is probably comically large, but whatever. I guess it's got some slouch. Maybe that is because there's another version of this pattern, which is the Lang Field. I don't know. I think it looks pretty cool. They're a lot of fun to make. I don't regret buying the pattern. I think I've gotten my money's worth out of it. And then this is the latest one I finished. So if that's Tens Field C, this is Tens Field B. And I started with some brown sheep, and I was alternating with a skein of Malabrigo. Then I incorporated my gray Cherub DK, held with my Regia hand-dyed effect. And then when I ran out of that, I added my Pima Cotton and some of the Ultra Alpaca that I knit my first sweater out of. And I am really pleased with this one. I really like the greens and purples a lot. Sorry. Whatever. So when I was figuring out what yarn to add, I should have done this graft on the wrong side, but whatever. It's not totally seamless. But even with like the significant like gray and green, it doesn't come off like as obnoxiously slithery as the other one, but I'm really happy. I really love this alpaca quite a lot. It's such a subtle and interesting colorway. And there you go. Not that green is normally my favorite color. Like, the people at the local yarn shop were like, how is it that green's not your favorite? Like, all your projects are green. It was like, this is an anomaly. I'm team blue. But I think it turned out really pretty. So, that's cool. And it's going to be really warm because of the alpaca. So, not too bad. Maybe at some point I'd even knit one for me. I was like half tempted. I was half tempted to actually knit my replacement hat in this pattern, and maybe I should have. Maybe it would have made sense. So, Tensfield D, and then Tensfield E is on the needles right now. So, and I can see me knitting even more of them. It's like a sickness, and I don't know how long it will take before it's all worked out of my system, but I feel like I'm just gonna keep grabbing more and more yarns until I've used everything. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, it's just madness. Because now I want to pull out this yarn, which is a Malabrigo lace, and I want to pull out my Crazy Zauber ball and wind that into a center pull ball, maybe even pull them together. Oops. So these are leftovers from my Daybreak shawl. You can just pull them out of the bag like it's it's not over yet. So here's my Mad Tosh skein. I don't know. I bet I'm not gonna touch my knit picks. But like, I can definitely see like using all of the yarn in here for all of the yarn in this bag for Tensfields, and all of the yarn in this bag for Tensfields as well. So these are all sorts of interesting worsted scraps that I have going on. Another thing that's been bouncing around, so this is some Neighborhood Fiber Company that Karita ended up dyeing for me as a custom order. She was having a fire sale because she needed to move from Columbus back to DC, and I gave her a fractal inspiration, and this is what she ended up creating. And the sweater I knit out of it, I don't wear anymore, but it is gorgeous. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous colorway. So I'm thinking about reclaiming the yarn. So I probably won't. So this is worsted weight, and it is navies and very, very dark turquoise, which will show up on the camera because blue doesn't let you down. Now I know what the title of the episode is. Blue doesn't let you down. Purple is a very untrustworthy color. But blue, all over that nonsense. So these are my leftovers. I have quite a bit, but I'm thinking about reclaiming the yarn. I knit a Wicked with it, and it was a kangaroo pouch pullover. And I don't know, it's just, it's too informal to wear it to work, but too nice to wear kicking around the house. It has like a super wide boat neck. I don't know, it's just, it wasn't the right pattern. So I'll have to figure out what sweater I want to make with it instead, because I think it's very worthy. And this coral, I don't know what to do with the coral. I may just need to knit a hat in just the coral because it's just so stinking obnoxious. Because I keep trying to, like, a lot of my other yarns pair with blue, but I don't know what color goes with coral. Or if I need to pair the coral with the white. It's really nice yarn. I knit mittens actually with it, with the coral held doubled with this guy, it was pretty awful. You can look and see in my Ravelry projects, it wasn't good. I ripped them out, but like, I guess I could dye it. I don't know. It's like a merino baby alpaca blend. It's fine. It is super fine. But the color, what it be? It's a gift that I got from my mother-in-law. I did make a project with it. It is gorgeous yarn to work with, but it's like, some of the other balls that I ended up getting became like headbands for my sisters, so it is, but that, like, I don't know what to do with that coral unless I don't even know what to pair it with, you know what I mean? It's I don't know what to do with it, to be quite frank. Like, maybe, because even like the khaki was like, maybe it's the coral and the black. That might be the only way. So, so I do have my, I think my Cascade Merino 220 or something like that. So perhaps that will be a good way to use them both. I don't know, it's always, you should always have some black yarn in your stash, you know what I mean? So, whenever I may be depleting important stash reserves. And then I totally could incorporate more of my small fingering weight scraps as well. Because the bag is very full. So, and some of these I don't even like, I don't even have the socks really in my possession anymore. So, we shall see how things shake out. But, like, that cubby right now has, like, my lace, my fingering weight scraps, of big balls, my fingering weight scraps of small balls, and then all of these oddball worsted things that just aren't normally what I gravitate to, but are perfect Tentsfield hats. Silliness. But that's sort of where I stand right now. It seems quite possible that I might have 4 more Tentsfield hats in me at this point, which is maybe a little bit bonkers, but not, I don't know. It's just slightly bonkers. Whatever. It's not over yet. So, I hope that you guys have been thinking about what sort of projects you'd like to do for the Knit the Precious Cal. That will be going on through April 30th. This will be lovely. Also, sort of going back to like previous way back cals, like the oldest anything cal, that was a while ago. But I try to define them in such a way where it's like easy to join in, easy to figure out something that makes sense, because I know we're all in different places in our life, so make it work for you. Because I want you guys to join in. So, it looks like everything's going to be fairly normal for the foreseeable future, but who knows? My life is full of surprises. Hopefully not that surprising, but whatever. They finally released the vendor list for DFW Fiberfest. So I am super duper excited that, what would it be? I was super duper excited about the list and seeing who was going to be there. Maybe a little bit sad because there were some favorites of mine that weren't going to be back, but such is life. But I am very, very excited about Miss Babs. So I have a hard time justifying buying online. I think just because it is maybe a little bit higher in the price point. So being able to see it at a show and not have to pay shipping, stupendous. So, because the shipping sort of pushes it over for me, you know what I mean? Alas. And then, what would it be? I'm just, whatever, in the awkward zone of like excitement and dread and and stress. So just managing all that, I think, ends up being a bit much. Hopefully it will be over soon, fingers crossed. But such is life. So with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week. So take care, guys. Bye-bye.